Alright, what's up, guys? Today's topic is going to be mainly Detroit Lions, their team future, what I think they're going to be, what others think, all that kind of stuff. So, to start it off, I want to talk about Louis Riddick's quote he had in a recent interview, just I think 5 days ago. He said, "Look, I believe Detroit is poised to make the huge leap this year and be a major player in the postseason. One of the primary reasons is because I believe we talk about all the time situations dictate player performances as much as themselves. Jared Goff has found his situation for him now, and I think he's going to take another step this year. And you're going to see it manifest itself by them being in the NFC title game." And then back in January, he also said that they were Super Bowl contenders. And if you know Riddick, he's very bright. I mean, he could be a GM, and a lot of times when he puts his all like that into a team or prediction, it usually comes out true. I mean, not saying he predicts things, but him analyzing things and statistically speaking, like he's usually pretty accurate. Um, so I wanted to just point out some things, like in the quote, he uses double wording a lot, like major, and huge. Like he's trying to emphasize that he's serious about what his thoughts are on the Lions and how far they're going to make it this season. Um, I mean, just to start out with the defense, I mean, they were ranked, what, 32nd, 31st, 30th, you know, piss last as a defense. And now I think they're, at worst, could be top 20 defense. I'm thinking more top 15. But just changing that secondary, bringing in Emmanuel Mosley, Cam Sutton, I mean, stealing one of the best safeties from the Eagles with Johnson. They already took a major leap just in that secondary. And then you got the people they drafted, like Jack Campbell, um, Brian Branch, all these young guys that are just going to complement and learn from these veterans. And I think third in NFC in general is where they should be, is where I'm expecting, where I'm predicting the Lions. I mean, first will probably be the Eagles or 49ers, and then the second would be 49ers Eagles. Them two, I'm not sure who I'd pick right off for the first place. Um, if not, if the Lions doesn't do something themselves. But, oh, sorry, my Siri. Um, but like I said, Eagles lost some major players. One being, Gardner Johnson, and I think another team that could be up there and challenge us would be the Seahawks. I mean, they made some nice moves, major adjustments, and they already gave us hell last year. I mean, it was poor game and defense on both ends of the ball, or both sides, Seahawks and the Lions. It was like there was no defense. It was like, what, 40, 47 to 45 or 40. It was, almost 50 each. But Detroit's offense, I mean, they were a top five last year. I believe they could do it right again this year. Another top five. Definitely, Jared Goff is not only repeating last year, either taking more steps or even if he shadows last year, be top five. I mean, yes, we lost Swift, but Montgomery I think is more reliable. Out of all of his seasons, he's played at least 11 snaps, and Swift couldn't give that. I love Swift. I mean, I have the jersey right there. Same goes with Jamal Williams. I love the guy, and I love that he broke, Barry Sanders' record, and he went off last year. But nine of those, 17 touchdowns, were from the 1 yard line. I mean, it's impressive, but it's all 1 yards. It's not like he's breaking out on these big rushes and having a dominant season. So upgrading, or I think Montgomery's an upgrade. On top of that, I love Craig Reynolds. I knew, watching him in preseason 2 years ago, he was going to make the roster. And he's been doing decent. And then Gibbs. So with Gibbs, I I was so stunned when I saw he got drafted at 12th because it baffled me. It threw me for a loop, but after watching his college tape, after watching interviews and all these presses on him, he is a very good dual threat, and he's just as much as a slot receiver as he is a running back. So having him line up with Montgomery or having him line up in the slot or motion will throw defenses for a loop because we could use him as a running back or even a slot receiver now, and he has good hands to catch the ball. So now with the Lions, even with their trick plays, I mean, the Lions love those. It just gives that dual threat where now the defense is on their toes. Are they running the ball? Are they throwing it to Gibbs? Are they running these weird plays, and I think that's itself is giving the offense more options to explode even more. On top of our offense, I mean, DJ Shark I thought was a loss. I like the guy, and I thought it was a big loss losing him. But Marvin Jones, I think, will do the same. I mean, DJ Shark was a big ball, a deep ball catcher. Marvin Jones, I think, as long as he's still got it, he did all right with I think the Jags he was on. But I used to love him back in Detroit when he was here the first time. So if he just keeps cooking too, it really would just replace Shark with Shark, in my opinion. Um, and Marvin Jones, I think, stays more healthy than Shark did. Now, Jameson Williams, that whole thing, once he's back and he still can play in the preseason and he can still train and all that, practice until the season starts. So really, he's missing only 6 weeks. It's not like when he was injured and he was missing the off season and all these training camps and all that. At least he'll still be kind of warm and training with the team. So when he comes back, he's more up to it than when he came off that injury. But if he could start off the season, I think it'd be hot for the offense. But that whole thing with his suspension, I mean, it's a whole nother argument. But for the Lions as a whole, I think honestly, at minimum, they should at least win the North. Even if it's head to head with the Vikings and we play them last week of the year, if it has to come down to that game, I think they'll make the playoffs no matter what. Wild card, even, but I don't want to see that. I think they'll win the North and host the playoff game. Now, if they get that third seed in the NFC, under the Eagles, under 49ers, there's still a chance that they could host an NFC championship title game, if there's an upset with the second or first seed or whatever, because there's, 7 teams? So they could still host the NFC title game, which would be even more huge for the Lions if they made it that far, because they exploded home games. They were scoring 30-plus points every home game they had. Goff didn't throw interceptions. His completion rate was way, up there compared to away games. So the more home games we can get in the playoff season, big piece of hair just flew by. The better the chances for the Lions. But with their offense, I feel like if they're not in the same boat as last season, they've only improved. I don't see any setback. And then with the defense, they've only gone forward. All right, sorry about that. It cut off because I minimized the window. But what I was getting at basically is with the secondary. I want to get back to that. Like in general, we lost Deshaun Elliott and Mike Hughes. Jeff Okudah. But in the free agent signings alone, we picked up Cameron Sutton, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, and then we got resigned Bugs, Anzalone. So just like over the offseason, we upgraded the secondary. I couldn't speak for a second, jeez. And then the other losses we had was Jamal Williams, which I talked about, and DJ Chark, and I already talked about those upgrades. And then for the draft class, we got Jamar Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, which is an upgrade, Brian Branch, Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Colby Sorstal, how do you say that, Sorstal? Antoine Green. And all those players are good from ratings and all the college tape I've watched. Jamar Gibbs, we talked about that. Jack Campbell was probably the best linebacker in the drafts when we picked him. Sam Laporta, I liked him more than what's his name, Michael Mayer. Brian Branch, best safety. So I feel we've only added these rookies added pieces to fix, or I guess complete the puzzle, because Gardner Johnson, who's on a 1 year, that's a year he can help like Brian Branch and all these other rookies, develop themselves, watch one of the best, and then next year maybe re-sign him, probably not, and then we can go right to Brian Branch, and and then like Kirby Joseph coming off a big rookie year, he's only going to get better, and now he has these veteran corners and safeties that he can just learn more from and grow himself. And I love Kirby Joseph. He's amazing. Now Brock Wright, I think Sam Laporta will take over I think after three games maybe, because he's another dual threat, and he's a big back that can block, um, and do it all. He has good hands on top of that. So, and then Hendon Hooker, I actually was a fan of Hendon Hooker, but I don't see him more than just being a backup. By the time he sees the playing field, definitely if Jared Goff does do good, really good again, he'll be pushing his late 20s, and who knows though? Maybe Goff gets hurt, he comes in and he does it all. No one knows. But there's not one I'm not a fan of, that we got in the draft or signing. But I mean, Gibbs was the one that I questioned the most because at that moment, with the 12th pick, I was like, what are we doing? Running back, and definitely because that's a position that's just dying. And the life of that position is so small, and it's just they take the worst of the hits and all that stuff. So, but that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll upload more videos going in depth in certain topics. I really wanted to cover the Louis Riddick quote and his thoughts on where the Lions are headed. And these next uploads will be probably about certain players and how I think themselves will boost us. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and comment. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you later.